Allentown, 3/4 of an inch. Atlantic City, a little bit less. And Wilmington, Delaware, a little bit more. Most of the heavy rain, when I say heavy, I'm talking about 2 to 3 inches, went well to the west of us, in the western portion of the state. Harrisburg got a lot of rain. The Scranton area got no rain whatsoever out of this system. AccuWeather is now saying that the heaviest stuff is due to stay to the south as the second storm center is moving through. So the folks down in central Delaware and southern New Jersey could have another soaking on tap. In the immediate Philadelphia area, we're looking for a little more rain, not another soaker, though. And we'll have to watch the system very closely. We're live on City Avenue. Back inside to Lisa and Mark.
All right, thank you, Dave. From weather news to medical news now, Mark. New Jersey health officials are warning some residents in the state that they may have been exposed to typhoid fever. 2 people who recently visited a hotel in the Catskill Mountains have been stricken with the illness. New Jersey correspondent Nora Mushanik reports.
2 senior citizens, a man and a woman from the Lawrenceville area, are in a Trenton hospital tonight suffering from typhoid fever, a bacterial infection that's a type of salmonella.
People contract typhoid by eating food or drinking water that's been contaminated by human feces.
The elderly victims were part of a senior citizens group that visited a hotel called the Pines in Fallsburg, New York. 13 cases of typhoid fever have been diagnosed in New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut. All of those affected were at that hotel between the 11th and 16th of June.
To have domestically acquired typhoid is very unusual in the state, and the numbers of persons at risk are extraordinary.
Symptoms of typhoid include fever, headache, cough, constipation, and diarrhea. The incubation period is normally between 1 and 3 weeks. It used to be fatal, but can now be treated with antibiotics.
Okay, could you tell me if you have had any of the following symptoms since going on the trip?
The New Jersey Health Department now has a team of doctors calling all state residents they know were at the hotel to let them know they may have been exposed and to ask them what they ate.
What foods they ate, what they drank, what other activities they had that could have resulted in exposure to the typhoid organism.
What kind of reaction have you been getting from people when you make the phone calls?
Most of the people are fairly interested in knowing what's going on. I've talked to one individual who was ill and was happy to find out what might be the cause. And subsequently, I believe that individual was found to have typhoid fever.
And the problem may not be restricted to senior citizens. Health officials are also contacting a North Jersey dance group that was at the Pines Hotel during the period in question. I'm Nora Mushanik, Channel 6 Action News, Trenton, New Jersey.
Bucks County authorities are looking for a suspect tonight they say was involved in the gang rape of a woman in Bensalem Township. Action News reporter Rick Williams joins us live now from Bensalem Township with details on that story. Rick?
Well, Lisa, this is where it all happened, the American Motel here on US 1 just outside Philadelphia in Bensalem. On the morning of July 11th, this past Tuesday, officials tell us that a 29-year-old woman was brought here and she was savagely gang raped by 5 men between the hours of 1 a.m. and 8 a.m. this past Tuesday. The woman was apparently walking through the only section of the city when she was abducted by the 5 men. They were driving a red car, and again, they brought her here, and they savagely gang raped her. Now, at this hour, police tell us they do know the identities of one of those suspects, and this arrest warrant is out for his apprehension. He is identified as 21-year-old Vincent Douglas Clark. He lives on Castor Avenue in Philadelphia, described as a 21-year-old white male. Officials told us earlier today they were led to this suspect by an anonymous phone call.
Once this crime was reported, the Bensalem Police Department began investigating. An anonymous tip which came into that department led to a possible identification of Vincent Douglas Clark, 21 years old, of Philadelphia. The victim of this rape identified Clark positively, and based upon that and other information as well, a warrant was issued for his arrest.
And once again, Clark is not in custody at this hour, but police hope to make an arrest soon. As for the identities of the 4 other suspects, well, all police say is the investigation continues. For now, I'm Rick Williams reporting live on the action cam from Bensalem, Bucks County.
The European journey of President Bush continues tonight. Today, Mr. Bush enjoyed a first day in Paris, helping celebrate 200 years of French independence before he and other world leaders begin an economic summit. Mr. Bush and his wife Barbara were welcomed by French President Francois Mitterrand upon their arrival from Hungary this morning. Then the president joined 6 other summit partners at today's bicentennial events, where doves were released and children from many nations performed in the ceremonies. Well, tomorrow's Bastille Day, the day the French Revolution began with the storming of the royal prison back in 1789, 200 years ago. Bush gets down to summit business tomorrow night with other leaders. He's expected to ask them for aid to help Poland and Hungary's fledgling efforts toward democratic reform and free enterprise.
The police in Honduras say they have arrested 2 U.S. citizens in connection with a bomb attack earlier today that injured 7 U.S. military policemen. The 7 were injured when someone threw a homemade bomb at them as they walked down a city street. Honduran authorities won't give details of the arrest or any motive behind the attack. The military policemen all belong to a special joint task force which recently completed a new road construction project in Honduras. 4 Cuban officers were executed by firing squad today for their role in a drug scandal that has stunned and embarrassed the government of Fidel Castro. Among the 4 executed today, Major General Arnaldo Ochoa, a war hero who fought with Castro in Cuba's revolution. The 4 had been convicted of smuggling tons of drugs into this country.
A man who helped ABC News get information about the June 3rd massacre in Beijing has been sentenced to 10 years in prison. His name is Zhao Bin, and after the riots at Tiananmen Square, he told ABC that 20,000 people had been killed. Well, the government says nobody was intentionally killed and that only 200 people died when soldiers were forced to fire on the students because they wouldn't allow the troops into the square. Neutral observers have placed the number of dead at 3,000. In any case, Zhao was sentenced to 10 years in prison for spreading rumors. Here at home, the burning flag issue, which ignited calls for a protective constitutional amendment, withered a bit today during a heated debate in the U.S. House. The amendment proposal ran into a cold reception from Democrats on the Subcommittee on Civil and Constitutional Rights. Critics such as Delaware Senator Joe Biden testified that he believes the public doesn't want